Hi everybody. Today I'm going to do an acrylic paint pour and then I'm going to turn it into a flower by painting the negative space. I'm painting on a 12 by 12 inch canvas and I have a dirty pour that's already been prepared. It's been sitting here for a while. It's two different blues and it's got some white, and I have some other colors that I'll be using in a few minutes. But let's get right to it, and I'm going to pour this dirty pour right onto the canvas. These pours always come out of the cup. They're always a little bit surprising when they come out, but in this case we're not going to worry about it. You just go with what you have, and I'm going to let this paint cover the whole canvas. And I'm also going to let some run off because I don't want a big, thick, heavy pool of paint on this for this particular technique, because I'm going to be adding more paint to it in a few minutes and it's just going to get way too thick. So I'm letting it run down all four corners. Let some run off. Doesn't have to be perfect coverage at this point. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to set it down. And I'm going to take, this time the negative space is going to be black. I put it in a paper cup. This is a 9-ounce paper cup. I don't have it full all the way because I have a little more control if the paint isn't all the way up to the top. If you've ever poured a full cup of anything out, you know it comes out pretty fast. And the reason I'm using a paper cup is so I can pinch it and control it just a little bit more. So I'm going to just pour around the outside of what is going to become a flower. A little bit free form. I'm not going all the way around yet. Just trying to get some black coverage here. Notice I'm just doing part of it at a time. That way I can angle the canvas and let it run off and still maintain sort of the shape that I'm thinking about. I'll let that black run off. And then I'm going to come back this way a little bit. So now I'm looking at what I've got here. What do I want to do? I'm going to trim it up with more black right here. Trim the bottom up a little bit right here because I'm going to be putting a green stem in and I want to have room for that. So there goes some of the black. I'm going to shorten this flower up just a little bit. You can see the black is pouring over the blue and shortening up a little bit. Again, this is so I have room for a stem. What I had in mind before I started was kind of a round flower, but I see the way it's traveled. It almost reminds me of a tulip, kind of a longish thing. So I'm going to go with that. Because as Picasso said, I start out with an idea and then it becomes something else. This is actually kind of interesting, like this. I'm going to actually, instead of pouring more, I'm going to shape this with my palette knife. I don't need any more black paint on here. So I'm going to take my palette knife and start to shape it a little bit. This is actually a spatula that I got from a restaurant supply, but I'm calling it a palette knife. So now I'm just looking at it, seeing what I want to do, tilting. See, I've got some blue here. It's fine. I'm going to leave it. I like what that is, even though it's not part of the actual flower. It just shows part of the process. You can see there's some blue left over here. There's some blue here. I like it. So now, again, I've got a paper cup. I've got some green in here. I used a bright green today because I want it to be light enough against this black background. Same with these blues. I put a lot of white in this dirty pour so it would stand out against the black background. If you use dark blue, then it's not going to be quite as impressive or show up as much. Now I'm going to pour a stem. And let's see, let's do some kind of leaf. I'm going to use my knife and sort of let this mix a little with the black, kind of create a leaf shape. I'm wiping off my knife in between, that way I'm not dragging black where I don't want it. This green stem is kind of fat, so I got a couple of choices here. I can try and make it a little bit smaller, just a little. And then what I think I'm going to do is drag some of this green and give this more of a green base at the bottom of this flower. This is pretty good. See, I need to define this flower just a little bit. I'm going to take, I wasn't planning on this, but again, I'm kind of seeing a tulip due to the shape of this, and I'm going to take some black and make a petal shape. Like a tulip petal. We'll see what happens here. I'm making this as thin as I can because this black is going to spread a little bit. And if I want, I've got a little bit of dirty pour left. Let's see what happens if I pour a little bit against this black to see if it moves this black line a little bit. That way it's a little more of a flowing line rather than the line that I poured. Now for interest, I had some yellow here. I'm going to just do a little highlight up here at the top. Again, we don't really know what kind of flower this is anymore. but I thought it needed something else. So there's a little yellow. Pushing it with my knife, as you can see. Let me make another. Oh, a thought about moving your painting. I would rather pick up and move a painting sooner rather than later, meaning within, say, about 30 minutes of when you create it, because the paint is still very fluid, it's very forgiving if you move it. But after a certain amount of time, let's just say 30 minutes, it starts to set up, and you're gonna get these sluggish movements if you disturb it too much. So ideally, if you could leave something to dry. This may take a couple days to dry. There's quite a bit of paint on it. But I wanted to turn it in your direction so you could see it. Now let's see what happens if I make this leaf come back out a little bit. Give it a little point. You can see the stem has distorted, but again, it's freeform, it's abstract. That looks pretty good. There is your abstract flower. So I hope this gives you some ideas of things you can do painting negatively. Again, the black is the negative space, and we created the form by painting negative. So my name is Karen Goodrich. I hope you'll follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my videos, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.